Part 58. The Changing of the Qibla. The direction of prayer, Qibla, thus far was Jerusalem, as was the case with previous Abrahamic religions. In Mecca, the prophet would always situate himself in a position where he was facing the Kaaba, but with Jerusalem behind it. However, in Medina, facing Jerusalem would entail turning one's back towards Mecca, and thus the Kaaba. The prophet grew increasingly uneasy with turning his back towards the Kaaba, so he started making dua to Allah to change the Qibla to Mecca. It is narrated that the prophet even expressed his hope to Jibril, to which Jibril replied,
"I am merely a slave, like you."
The most blessed human asked the most blessed angel for assistance, yet their subservience was to Allah alone. The prophet then continued to make dua earnestly throughout the day. The sunnah of dua is to lower one's head, but in times of extreme distress or desperation, the prophet would raise his hands high and face towards the heavens. There were no witnesses, as the prophet did so in the dead of the night, but Allah attested to it, revealing,
"Indeed, we see you turning your face towards the heaven." Surah 2, 144.
Allah then gifted the change of Qibla to the prophet, continuing the verse,
"Now we will make you turn towards a direction of prayer that will please you. So turn your face towards the sacred mosque. Wherever you are, turn your faces towards it. Those who were given the scripture certainly know this to be the truth from their Lord. And Allah is never unaware of what they do." Surah 2, verse 144.
This commandment became a source of confusion for the people of Medina. Allah states,
"The foolish among the people will ask, why did they turn away from the direction of prayer they used to face? Say, the east and the west belong only to Allah. He guides whoever He wills to the straight path." Surah 2, verse 142.
Some of the Jews would scoff,
"Had he truly been a prophet, he would have prayed towards the direction followed by the prophets before him."
The ruling was a test to the believers to implement a command from Allah. However, there was a secondary message to the Jews. This prophet inherited the tradition of your prophets, and thus faced the same Qibla, but he shall now supersede it. The Qibla could have been from Mecca from the start, but Allah wanted to demonstrate to the Jews the commonality and shared root of the two religions. However, as time passed and they persisted in their arrogance and rejection, guidance was sent instructing the believers to distinguish themselves, and the change of Qibla epitomized this distinction. The pagans also ridiculed the change in Qibla, but there was a secondary message to them. The prophet was expelled from Mecca, but he honors the Kaaba more than you, and he will inherit custodianship of the Kaaba. The Jews insisted on their Qibla being the only avenue of righteousness, and Allah clarified the true definition of righteousness.
"Righteousness is not in turning your faces towards the east or west. Rather, the righteous are those who believe in Allah, the last day, the angels, the books, and the prophets, who give charity out of their cherished wealth to relatives, orphans, the poor, needy travelers, beggars, and for freeing captives, who establish prayer, pay zakah, and keep the pledges they make, and who are patient in times of suffering, adversity, and in battle. It is they who are mindful of Allah." Surah 2, verse 177.
Allah then reassured the prophet,
"Even if you were to bring every proof to the people of the book, they would not accept your direction of prayer, nor would you accept theirs, nor would any of them accept the direction of prayer of another. And if you were to follow their desires after the knowledge that has come to you, then you would certainly be one of the wrongdoers." Surah 2, verse 145.
There is a common misbelief that the prophet was praying in one direction when Allah revealed the verses mid-prayer, and the prophet changed his direction while praying. The authentic reports are clear in that the prophet prayed Fajr facing Jerusalem, and Zuhr facing Mecca, which means the commandment was revealed in the morning. After praying Zuhr in the new direction, a companion walked towards his local mosque, which was in the tribe of Banu Salama. When he arrived, the congregation was already praying Asr, so he announced the change of Qibla while they were praying, which caused them to change their direction mid-prayer. After this event, the mosque was then known as Masjid Qiblatain, the Mosque of Two Directions.